Hello and welcome to day. Is it really day 5 already? No, it's day 6.
Day 7.
7.
Day 7.
Oh jeez.
I
can't count. I can't do math.
Oh,
Unless it's got money in it.
Everyone's here today. I think it's going to be overcrowded, but we'll see how this goes, huh?
Yeah, is it sort of like
exciting.
Invited everyone, but didn't realize it was the weekend, and everyone put their hand up. So,
Well, we're actually the concept sale right now because right now during the anniversary sale, with all the concept sales going on and all the anniversary ships, it's starting to get very crowded on the storefront. So at least we're representing that here.
We could all have our own manufacturer.
Anyway, welcome to episode 46 of the Inforunners, and today is the Drake sale. Which is not too ecstatic. There's a couple of CCUs to mention, but the main thing was the ship voting and the new ships on the line, which we'll talk about later in the episode. I guess first off, we'll get the CCUs out of the way. There are 2 CCUs on the recommendation list for today. The first one is Mustang Alpha to Dragonfly-based CCU, and you say, well, what good is this? This is a CCU that likely earned $5 off of a cheap starter package. If you once their 3.0 comes in and the Dragonfly is confirmed and going up in price. I only imagine it's going to be $5, but you know, if you keep a couple of these tucked away, it's only a $5 CCU. You can then take away $5 to put on a starter package or gift to a friend with a new starter package. Which are they selling those cheap starter packages yet? Is that today?
Yeah,
or is it?
they're up.
Yes.
Yeah. So
sadly, no Squadron 42 ones.
well, no. But like, why not buy one of those and get one of these CCUs and keep it as a gift for a friend in future, and then you save $5 off the package and another $5 on the ship after 3.0 launches. It's a great idea.
Also, if you buy a discount one, I still think you can add Squadron 42 to it. I think it's, what is it, $45?
I think it's 15.
I think it's $15 for the expansion. For
Oh, really?
When it's combined with the starter package. If you buy it separately, it's like, what?
It's only $50 then. That's pretty cheap, in my opinion, for both of them. Man, then I should probably get one from
Yeah,
some friends.
yeah, I know. It's nice.
And of
For
course,
what we've got at game at the moment, yeah. Like, I say it all the time, you know, $50 for what, 10 hours of play. But yeah, that's fair. And it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and you're going to get the multiplayer PU down the road too, so yeah.
And you get the reputation in the mystery ship, which I thought they said you might get to leave with.
They hinted at you getting a mystery ship.
At the end of your term.
Yeah, they've said if you go all the way through your military career that you could get a free ship, and I think it's the F8 Lightning. It's the whole reason why they've never sold it. It's the only thing that makes sense.
I like that ship though. Speaking of, the very last CCU we're going to recommend, and this is not new news, but it's a good one to get it nonetheless. Getting a Gladiator through to Cutlass Black. It will go up in price. I'm guesstimating $10 to $15 increase on this one. It's a cheap $10 CCU, and it's useful because all the ships you might want to buy that aren't starter, this could take $10 or $15 off. So why not keep a couple of them in your hangar and see where it goes? Or, you know, gift it to a friend. They may have missed out on the Cutlass Black and it went up in price and I missed it. Oh, I've actually got a cheap $10 CCU for you. And
or you can use it as a CCU path to like another ship and save, you know, that price increase between the old Cutlass and the new Cutlass.
Yep. And, you know, they'll probably continue to sell this after the sale, but, you know, this is one of those CCUs we're giving out. After this show, probably sometime tomorrow, I'm going to do a consolidated CCU guide for all the CCUs available over the entire sale. So look out for that. It will not be a live stream. It will be a pre-production recording, and I'll be listing it out all in a spreadsheet for those people who like to pause and, you know, be able to read and get it through their heads a little bit easier. With that, let's go on to the main show today with the Drake.
Yeah, ATV. Let's start with that. I found that a bit of a waste of time. Did anyone else find? The only enjoyable part was I got to see the complete song at the end. No.
I got to see
that was the best part, wasn't it? Like,
song.
The awkward song was the best part. Like the rest we'd all seen before. It was nothing new.
It was nothing new. It's stuff that we've seen in all of their other everything from ATVs to all the demos that ended up getting out.
I'm I've got to wonder now, and I know this is a slight tangent, but we're all expecting modules for the Caterpillar because of the end of that commercial. Now, does that mean that that's for the holiday live stream? Do we have to wait, you know, another, what is it, 18 days odd? I don't know when the live stream's going to be. I think they said the 15th or something like that. But, like, do we have to wait another 2 weeks to see that now? So,
Yes, I would say yes, hands down. Because... And they may just be a teaser. It may just literally be we're just showing something at the end, just like a commercial. You may or may not see this later on. It's just something cool.
They actually did kind of hint, or Disco hinted at larger ground vehicles being talked about later, so I assume that might pop up in the holiday live.
He also said that there wasn't going to be a Drake capital ship, so Disco is totally a reliable source of info.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not
totally trust him. You know, he's a great guy.
About as far as I can throw him.
The comment about the larger land vehicles was actually in the description, the Star Lister.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right, it was. Now I won't think about it. Yeah, so should we go through the individual ships that were mentioned? And realistically, there was kind of 5 mentioned. Should we go through all 5?
Well, let's start with the order they were presented in.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. I guess the first one was the small starter mining ship, which, you know,
Salvage.
Salvage, yeah.
You're like that
you made the same mistake they made.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I could see them doing it, but it was sort of partisan. I mean, what we've been desperately wanting is a medium-sized industry ships, and the salvage, medium-sized salvage, Drake, it all made sense. And they put out a starter. Anyone can do a starter salvage ship. And I don't even think it's all that important because, you know, you can do salvaging a cutlass.
Simple.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just a ship with cargo space and you having a welder of some sort to cut things
exactly.
up.
Like, you could just
Like,
put that in your Connie or whatever. It even said, oh yeah, and you can EVA to the salvage wrecks and everything. It's like, oh, you're not making this any easier than what I could do in any other ship.
Yeah.
You're actually making it worse because the Cutlass has tractor beams. Cutlass has tractor beams. Why do I even want to try to have a special starter ship for salvage?
I actually don't mind it, to be honest. I can see their merit of going inside the ship and being able to actually go in and grab like a vulture and grab the best parts out and take it out. Also, it'd probably help with the reclaimer when you have to kind of clear it of stuff before you can suck the whole ship in. But I don't picture it like a vehicle like they did. I picture it more like a Titan suit, where you go
like
in.
The cutter.
Yeah, or like, something like that. Something smaller, but like, just let me just show you what I'm thinking. Is it's basically like a Titan suit that connects to like a barge, and basically, so you go in the Titan suit, cut out what you need, and then chuck your stuff on the barge, and then the Titan suit connects to the barge, and then it kind of, the computer systems from the Titan control the engine of the barge, and then you go off. If that makes sense.
Well, that's kind of what Matt Sherman hinted at.
Yeah.
About Titan armor, and I've got the Titan armor. Oh, hey, I've just got a size 5 weapon. Awesome. Click.
Yeah, I did like the idea of because that means you can still have it hands-on when you're in a Titan suit. Where if you're getting out to EVA and in and out of a ship, yeah, that'll be annoying. But I like the idea of the more hands-on approach, especially when you're in because it will be in a first-person shooter environment because you're inside the ship. I don't like when he mentioned that bike. All I could see was a dragonfly trying to turn around corners inside a ship, and that just drove me nuts. The other thing I thought of was if you made it remote, you could make it like in Titanic where or those robots that go down and they flip stuff with the VR goggles. So if you made it like a singular drone that went in and got stuff and brought it back, but they don't want it to be a drone; they want it to be hands-on. So.
Well, the thing is, a starter ship is too small to have these advanced features like tractors, like drones, like maybe taking a Titan suit with you. It's sort of like the whole idea between a starter is the ship is supposed to do it for you,
because like the Hawk is technically a starter ship, so. For what you get there, you could up that up, especially when you look at something like you're able to pick up like a hull A or a hull B. I mean, something about that size actually would make sense around the Hawk level as a starter ship, and they need to do what the Hawk doesn't have, which is have a starter pack with that to make that work. And the other thing they really need to do to make that work, is maybe give me a reason to have that instead of another ship. And that would be the stealth that they mentioned. And then they're like, no, it's just smaller than that. And then it's like, well, it could have some aftermarket modifications. Yes, it needs aftermarket modifications to be useful, because otherwise I would just have any ship. If it's an entry-level, like, stealth cargo-ish ship, that even opens up the ability to go in, besides salvage, and actually use it for smuggling, which would actually make it a perfect ship for a lot of people.
With what Hayes just said before about advanced, I don't see that as a Drake thing either. Just, you know, that's not the word I think of, but I think of Drake. I'm like form over function. There's very much Drake.
Don't you mean cutting corners and form sacrificed for function?
Dodgy.
Dodgy
function. No, apparently
I wouldn't say dodgy though. The Cutlass is
all into function.
Well made. The Herald is well made. They're well made, but they're not necessarily a reputable industry.
And then we have the Buccaneer where they didn't put in a ejection seat for no good reason. Okay, like, you know, they thought, oh, this will make great lore. What a great idea. Let's do it.
I really like what
No
Elwyn
CIG.
said about the construction site appeal. Like, that's a very functional place as a construction site, but it's bare bones. It's got stuff hanging around everywhere. Like, that analogy worked really, really well. And even I'll talk about this a bit later, actually, because it's for when he was talking about the transport carrier, the one that was in the voting, you know, the storage carrier. I had a vision. I'll talk about that when we talk about it. So yeah, but yeah, what other things can you guys see it being besides some kind of Titan suit? Do you actually see it as an actual ship, or is it more of a how do you guys see it? Like, because do you actually physically see a ship being able to go inside other ships like that, or do you think it's
I think
No,
so.
what?
No, well, they even talked about it being, you know, you kind of get there in Eva. So the idea of it being a barge, that would fit with the, you know, where you're strapped in with your Titan suit or strapped in with your EVA suit or whatever, and you kind of ride. That would fit with the idea of you kind of riding it, and then you Eva to the location. The barge kind of adds oxygen, so even though you're out riding on top, you're not using your suit's oxygen. The barge has got additional oxygen tanks. That's kind of
Yeah, it's just gonna take you there. It's gonna be ugly. I mean, but it's just, you know, the as long as the Sentinel only gets the job done, so it's probably just gonna be able to park next to a big salvage wreck, almost like a reclaimer, but obviously a lot smaller, and you know, make it easy for you to get out.
Or something that you can actually rip something you can hook on, and it just pulls it back for you. But you have to manually hook it on. They didn't leave that out as an option. They also mentioned
talked about that.
It'd be cool if you had like a laser designator and it just used tractor beams off the barge. I think they're going to go much more with tractor beams because they're a lot easier to implement than rope tech and stuff like that. But if you had some kind of laser designator where you could just kind of, you know, almost like Iron Man style off the wrist, just kind of aim it, and then all of a sudden the tractor beam would kind of lock onto it and then just start sucking. I could see that.
That makes a lot of sense for every ship with a tractor beam to have someone out in the field being able to designate where the tractor is going to be locking.
I wouldn't say every ship. I would say a smaller ship like this, but maybe some of your larger ships have better scanners.
I think he means every ship would have the ability to be controlled by someone remotely, and I can actually see that as a thing. Like it almost Wi-Fi connects between you and the ship and says, "Hey, I'm outside. Let me remote control this." Especially when it comes to salvage and stuff. Like,
yeah, well, I can see it being useful for Caterpillar. I can see it being useful for you know, big ships, maybe even the Reclaimer. You know, someone might have a better view than in the cockpit.
It makes me think that this ship would work the Vulture would work really well with the Reclaimer. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, isn't this the Cutter? That's almost what I thought the whole time. So when I think about it,
great version of the Cutter.
Yeah, like does it raid on the Cutter's parade though? So
yeah.
Because what's stopping you from taking a Cutter and putting it on a medium ship? You know, then you've got a better salvage ship by the sound of it.
Well, even Elwyn raised the idea, you know, when he was talking medium ship, and what would you have with it? His view was, I'd want the Vulture. That little ship is what I'd like to take, because it's the perfect fit. And so even he's thinking that idea of, it's not really an ideal starter ship, it's really an ideal snub ship.
Should we should we move on to that, to the cause there, or do you want to finish off with the Vulture?
I do have one thing I want to say with the Vulture, and that is hands down, this is actually the best option to vote for right now, just because everything else is going to be out of most people's reach.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm just going to say that now, and we'll get to why later on.
I guess we can go on to the Constellation version of Drake's vision. What do they call it? The Corsair?
The Corsair.
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 I like the idea behind the 3 turrets and, actually having a ship that's not forward-facing weapons like every other ship and like that. But they didn't seem to really sell it like they do versus a Constellation or a 600. What do you think?
I would say it, from what they were billing it as, it's not a Constellation. It's a mini Hammerhead.
That's the problem. It's competing with the Hammerhead. It's like
it's a mini Hammerhead.
Who's going to buy it?
I would say Redeemer. It's probably more of a Redeemer competitor. Just saying, because the firepower on is not nearly enough to compete with a Hammerhead by far. Even if you just say each one has size 4 guns, great. That's like one Hammerhead turret and a half. It is definitely going to be competing kind of like a Redeemer slash Constellation. I actually see it being actually a very viable option as an actual gunship, which is we need some of those, and it also gives you a better exploration platform in a way, because if they focus it more on cargo, imagine if the Constellation Taurus had a baby where you got the cargo of the Taurus plus the extra space for a rover or a snub.
I wish it had
really useful.
somewhere between a Constellation and a Taurus and cargo. That would be awesome.
I actually disagree with you there, Dyson. They saying it would have 3 turrets, not 3 guns. That's put 3 of those Hammerhead turrets on there.
Yeah, you can put quad turrets.
Well, I did mean turrets when I said that, but I figured the turret would have literally 2 guns on it, most likely, to compete with the Connie.
I've got 3 things I want to say about this ship. I think it really is in a good place to compete with the Redeemer. I think that's really important. And the really important thing from a lore perspective is I think it actually, of the options other than the Vulture, this is the only one other I feel that really fits the Drake aesthetic at all. I love the broadside mechanic, and I even agree with Elvin, whatever his name is, sorry, is the Vulture would work really well
with this
ship. And if they didn't use a Titan suit or something like that as the vehicle, I reckon they could even use another snub. I'd like to see another ship that has a snub like the Constellation. So some kind of, even if it's just a simple fighter, that would be really cool. If you want to go all out, you could even have a Buccaneer literally hang off the end. That would be if they could have it like, so picture the Buccaneer flies into the back, and you know how the canopy, you can kind of climb out the side. So if you fly in and it's like a small little dock where you can climb out the side, that'd be, and so you could literally have a whole Buccaneer hanging off the back. That'd be sick.
I see.
Yeah, so something like that. I'm just really surprised that there is no kind of gunship in the Drake lineup. It is a really glaring hole for piracy. Like, you're going to have all these Drake ships that they've got this lineup, and then you're going to have something like the Redeemer or Hammerhead just to have weight. So they need a ship that's got weight.
Doesn't the Cutlass do that though now?
Not to this. It's still a support ship, and even when they did talk about on ATV today, they said it's a support ship. That's what it is. So. When I look at it, you'd want to have guns to bear from a ship like this. You'd have your Buccaneers as your annoyance and distraction, and then you'd have your Cutlass and your if they ever make it, the Vulture coming in to pick up the loot and get that into the whatever form the loot being, salvage or actual cargo, into the Cutlass, and that gets out. And then the last ships that leave are obviously the Buccaneer and the whatever the Corsair. I don't like the name personally, but I'm sure they can come up with a better one.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be, because it doesn't sound Drake at all. It sounds too nice and clean. And Corsair, Connie, it's like, it's be tough and it's be, give that sense of, Drake, as what you say. But I agree with you as far as Drake doesn't have a gunship or anything that's like a fire support ship. So anything that's on the defense kind of a thing, because it's like they're focusing on all these different roles. But now they got to get those other ships where it's like, all right, let's make some ships to support other ships. You know what I mean? In a sense, like, you know, a Cutlass would do that, but it's like you can just do a Cutlass and, you know, go about finding cargo, maybe, you know, tractor beamer, you know, attacking, or, you know, Drake things, party things, or whatever.
Yeah, well, and the difference with the Cutlass versus that is you've got those 3 turrets that would be 360-degree arc, and that's the big selling point, and the fact that you can have a snub and vehicle, you know, that's what sets it apart from a Cutlass. Bigger guns.
Do you know? I was just going to say, you know, when they talked about the placement of the turrets, I'd actually do it slightly different, just so it kind of looks cool. If you can kind of picture a bigger Cutlass, chop off the front and back wings, right? So you've kind of got that streamlined body, more like a Herald. I'd actually put a turret underneath the front of the Cutlass cockpit, and then one under the front at the back as well. So the main 2 turrets are actually under the ship, and then have a turret on top. That's how I would do the 3, because it would look really cool, and you'd have the pilot and the gunner really close to each other, and I could see some kind of communication happen between those 2, and then that gunner talks with the rest of the gunner team. So it'd go, all right, we're flying left, guys, and like, because he could see where the pilot's going and stuff. So
having the arrangement on top makes it a better ship when you're landing and dropping off your.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. This would be better for attacking things on ground too, because the down placement would really help with that. Plus, 2 would give you that gunship mechanic of I'm clearing the landing bay, guys. You land down, you start mowing down anything on the landing bay. kind of making it a bit like
a raider, so for raiding land bases as well. Actually, that's a good point that I didn't think of. So yeah, you do get pros and cons. Excuse me, but the point, we don't have many downward facing guns at the moment. Like, there are not a lot of ships, they're all very top heavy, so it would still give it that broadside mechanic, and it would give you the ability on bases, which is kind of interesting. So I see what you're saying, Aragod, but a lot of other ships are like that at the moment. They're very up facing, not down facing. So
maybe give it, instead of, say, when I hear the turrets and hear what they're saying, I'm thinking quad turrets. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked 3.
Maybe it's just a hammerhead.
Yeah, well, they're Drake. They're cheap bastards, man. You only get 2 guns on each. Just so.
They could have done 4 turrets with all size 3. It would have been just as balanced first economy.
To be fair, this should have been your salvage vessel.
I'd have chucked 4 turrets on and had them 2 guns each, you know.
Dyson, you beat me to the punch there. I was about to go on about this, but basically I think this is the biggest missed opportunity. We didn't need a Constellation competitor. We needed a medium-sized, like a Connie, but an industry-focused salvage ship. It'd have all the equipment you want, like the tractors, the decent cargo, the, you know, maybe a bit of a refinery capacity. That's the sort of ship you want. So do like a big industry that can do salvage with a fair bit of cargo, has a bit of firepower like a Constellation. Do the quad turrets, but you know, because it's Drake, you want to kill stuff then salvage it. You know, and it would have had a chance of competing against some of these other ships, which are just incredibly popular. And
the other thing about it is that gives it that industry feel that is Drake.
Yes,
it's not. You know, Connie is merchant. It's not.
Why are Drake mating a starter salvage ship? Is that Drake? I think that's a little outside of what Drake is.
I would see that being the people that make Argo, because you just slap on their giant claw, rip something off, toss it in, and call it back.
Consolidated Outland. I think
consolidated.
Or even Mesk. It's like the Hawk is to me is more Tavaran than anyone else.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah.
So,
I think the thing is though, like as I stated previously, you've got to look at this from a PR concern. They're definitely doing the larger ships, then the smaller, then the medium. It's happened again and again. Like, it's a pattern you can't ignore. I've had people...
I'm very disappointed because they've been doing these big ships, like you said, and they've been ignoring the very small industry to medium industry.
Well, most people are going to be flying. To be fair.
It's going to be, like, if you look at it from the medium ship perspective, they're going to be the most common ships, and they're going to make the most money off them. So they're almost leaving them to last, because then they can charge more for them, because the game will be further along and more people will know about it.
$350 medium ships, where all the big ships are like $500, you know? That's the strategy.
Yeah, it's pretty, like, and people, I've had people say, oh, I can't believe I didn't see this, but I've had other people call me crazy, so it's happening again and again. Like, it's very clear that this should have been a medium-sized ship, and I can't. Sorry, I'm looking at what they want to design around, but when I look at it from what you've just said, yeah, you could make this a medium salvage ship, and it actually makes a lot of sense because then it can defend itself while it's parked up alongside the other ship or whatever.
Yeah, defend and shoot first.
Yeah, and having the Vulture as a snub works as well. I really think that's how we need to say to them, hey, we want the Vulture. I'd love to get a really big thread going saying this needs to be a medium-sized salvage.
The first two voting options should have been combined into one concept.
It would have been voted number one straight away.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know, maybe someone in chat or one of us, we need to start a post on the forums and get it upvoted to hell.
Well, it would also give them what they're wanting, because they're talking about taking industrial things and then turning around them as weapons. Imagine this 3-turret system being 2 turrets and below it like a tractor beam setup. And each one, and then you can turn around and use it in a military setting. It's like, now I have this direct laser, which I can start shooting at things and maybe even rip stuff off. And then just imagine ripping it off a wing and then sucking it in.
That'd be
You see them more as the industrial cutters for cutting the ship up. But
I think
that's right. An industrial cutter can be used to force entry to a ship you've just wanting to board. As a pirate.
And in a pinch, use it as a weapon when fighting fighters.
It'd be great if they had a custom turret that was a gun and a laser so you can have one that's got a laser on it and the other one that's got like a tractor beam on it, or maybe there's a special. Maybe it is a quad one, like they are quad turrets, like you said, but one's a laser and one's a tractor beam, and then 2 guns. That would be really awesome. Like and it's like, I know Disco's a bit of a, but the thing he said where the purpose and then the actual purpose that fits straight aesthetic to it too.
Yeah, Drake's always about here's the legitimate purpose, but it's also used. Like
it also frees up the Redeemer a little bit too, because right now if this carries cargo and stuff, they can, when they redesign it, they can maybe redesign the Redeemer to actually be an actual dropship, not this weird hybrid mess that it currently is.
And that also takes care of that idea of that turret. Takes care of that. Yes, you've got a quad-sized turret up there, but the fixtures on that turret are your tractor beam, your cutter, and your other things. So yeah, it's got 2 guns.
Instead of cargo, though, if you're going to have it as salvage, and I know this is probably going to, I don't know, I'm just checking it out. Just came to me just then. What if it had a trash compactor part on it?
Yep.
So it actually just squishes it all into little blocks.
Yeah, legitimate uses for trash compactor.
Not
people you don't like.
Give me all your money, I'll put you in the trash compactor.
That's right, yeah.
The Drake garbage.
I feel like that is so far-fetched.
You're making me think of Serenity right now with the nets.
Think of this, Snake. So you put the salvage in there, because if you think of that wing that Dyson was just talking about, it comes in and it's a big chunky thing, but then it just, in game terms, it squishes it and just turns it into little, the little cargo containers you can pick up at the moment. Yeah, it just turns it into a little block. So you think of the cubes they've got in there at the moment, and when they trash back the car and it's a little cube and it's all wrinkly and terrible, it's literally just one of those, and you can pick it up.
Wally.
Yeah, it's like an SU container with a scrap, but it's no container, it's just a cube.
And it allows pirates to work because they need to be boom and zoom. It can allow you to do a literal boom and zoom raid against a heavily armed convoy. You just literally fly in, rip off a wing, tractor it in on your way out, and you fly off.
You could have a tractor beam, one of the turret on the top. So if it's got our turrets like we're talking about, it could literally just tractor beam it in, and it puts it in like through a. What are those things? The mulcher? The mulchers, the real big ones in Australia we have here. Yeah. So it just goes in the top of the ship like that, and then there's a guy. Yeah, wood chipper. There's a guy in the ship that literally just walks in, and a little cube comes out, and he just picks up the cube. And then if there's if it's enough for 2 cubes, a second cube comes out, and he just picks that up. So there's a guy literally just stacking cubes inside. And
I would see multiple cubes separating out by material. Like you have this material over here.
Yeah,
this material
you could do that
here.
too. That'd be awesome. Again. But it comes down to how much you want to give them refinement. Like, do you just want them to be able to compact the cargo, or do you want them to be able to break it up? So, yeah.
I would have them compacting the cargo, which needs to be refined elsewhere, because that's kind of, It's
That
it takes away that real
broken up
focus, but it just gets it function. Gather the stuff, we take it back, then we sort it.
Yeah, if you kind of look at it as I kind of explaining it, Algood's kind of right, because if you look at the Reclaimer, it does everything. The Vulture does the bare minimum, and then this needs to be somewhere in the middle. So if you could get it to just compact the cargo, that'd be really cool. And then what happens is those cubes are literally just dumped into a refinery, and the refinery separates it.
But it's like I said, they needed to combine the starter concept with the bigger ship and have like a snub cutter that comes out with the medium, so you can go out and have power assist and cutting equipment. And then for non-legal purposes, you could essentially disable ships, cut open the door, steal their cargo and salvage most of their ship, and then fly off. That's the Drake dark side of it, to the story. And this would have been one of the most popular ships to vote on.
Sadly, we just get a Connie knockoff with 3 turrets that are of unknown quality and an unknown vehicle.
The whole ship is unknown.
It's a weird ass combo though if you think about it. It's as a salvage gunship. That sounds awesome.
It does, but that's not what we're getting. We're getting something completely different from that, and that would actually be amazing to salvage gunship. And it'd be great if the community got behind a post like that and they just got inundated with posts and be like, hey, let's merge these ideas.
But unfortunately, I think they were wanting to really plug.
Yeah. Just real quick, someone said in chat.
We were told we never get it.
Someone said in chat, Wally cubes. The robot Wally.
Yeah.
That's literally, that's perfect example.
That's literally what I said. Wally
yeah.
cubes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
On top.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyone else got anything to say before we move on to the disappointment?
It's pretty obvious. I have nothing to say about those two ships.
I'm currently
I just want to discuss the dissent I have. The fact that they put some of the better concepts out of the entire thing into a 3 thing that could only be decided in 20 minutes by a Twitch chat. Some of these concepts deserve to be voted on by the community, and it's like they purposely stuck them there, or we'll put them with the carrier ship so that they can never see the light of day, because we know they're going to be completely eclipsed by this super popular ship, which was voted 80% of the votes before they even got talked about.
The irony is that the lifter that they mentioned, it's not that different from a carrier either. That's the funny thing. And when I look at it, they basically describe the Kraken like a floating city. I actually preferred the idea of the lifter as a carrier, but that was just me. But if they'd made it maybe even a little bit bigger, and you could say pick up 6 Hornets or something, that would have been really that's how I would have gone with it, because then you could pick up a whole base with it.
Train. Yeah, that's what they mentioned, that you can pick up outposts.
Yeah,
that's actually amazing. Being able to transport outposts that were built by a pioneer and maybe move it a few kilometers over. Like you build it in a perfect area where you're building your main outpost, and you just continue building, and you just keep moving it to where you want the stuff.
Well, yeah, because resources, will go scarce, and once you drain them, you're not gonna want to be paying for that 4x4 freaking kilometers of land that you got. So of course you want something to be able to pick up your base and just move it somewhere else, off planet somewhere.
To make that a kind of a burden, though, you'd want to make it so that how it's got the supports at the bottom of a base. You'd want to make it that you got to build new supports, and it can only transport the cube parts from place to place. And the other thing is, when it's in atmosphere, it uses a lot more fuel when it carries weight. That way, there's a cost associated. Sorry, I agree.
You'd also want it to be that you couldn't just lift up a base. You had to actually unattach the base from the support platform, so you couldn't just, hey, I'm going to go over there and rip off his house.
I know, I was going to say, total Jake is like, hey.
Actually, I want that because I want to be able to pick someone's house up and then crush it down into salvage.
The lifter has another dimension we've thought of.
Bit much.
Why not have prefab buildings just 1 unit at a time, and it can deliver them?
Yeah,
as opposed to having a pioneer. This is the everyman's much cheaper version of I'm just building a base 1 little block at a time. That could have been the cheaper version of a base builder.
Yep.
And I think that makes it an amazing ship once you put it in that light.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's it's a base repositioner. and it's freaking gonna haul your freaking space tanks or and your ships or whatnot. If you crash the freaking ship, you know, how else are you gonna move it somewhere?
If you can haul tanks and other things, why can't I, as I'm flying through space, use those same grappling hook to hold
an aura or a smaller ships, like all the starter ships? It could reposition and move, like if they're marooned or crashed or like in a state of disrepair. It could be the tug.
What do they call
that's
it?
What you said.
It is the tug. It is the tug.
Yeah.
What are they? Sorry, a tow truck. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of what it's called. Tow truck. It's like a tow truck as well.
Yep. Tow truck / tug.
Yeah. And they've said that we need that. There's people who've been asking for it. I can see this as just merging all those into one, and that seems to make a lot of sense to me.
It would also make a lot of sense to have something be a legit tugboat to go to like your Idris when you're landing to help it not spend as much fuel getting up and down, or be faster from planets.
Yeah, it just depends on the weight to fuel cost ratio. You know, what saves you more money.
Yeah, there was like realistically for me, there was only 2 ships that really stood out. Like now we've really worked through that Constellation competitor. If we can kind of get that idea through, that's my favorite at the moment. But this one is a very close second. And that
seems to fit the Drake aesthetic even better. You know,
cheap,
well.
and if you actually,
cheap,
I don't know if you
industrial.
Yeah, you know when he said to Google vehicle transport helicopters, did you guys actually do that when he was talking about it?
Because,
yes, on my phone.
One of the ones that first came up was that, you know, that crane helicopter I keep talking about. One of the very first ones that come up, and that's kind of what I see it being. And I do like the idea of though turning it sideways and having it be able to go up to a caterpillar and pull stuff out of it. That seems really cool.
Yeah, and that fits with that. That again, it works with the Drake idea. It fits hand in glove.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the Drake ships are. They're very combinable. I can't think of the right word, but they work hand in glove, as you said. But yeah, they work in tandem.
It's the idea that, you know, this can be used legitimately to move things, or you could be legitimately stealing things.
Yeah.
You know, this is the perfect thing to go off with something large when someone has.
Yeah.
And it could also be an amazing dropship when you think about it. Because imagine something like an Argo that you can actually have pods that you have for it. For like, you could put a cargo pod, it pulls it up, and then you can take it into the air, go with that, or have a drop ship, and if you just drop it, like in Starship Troopers, where they go in there, they drop the thing, and then they fly off. It has so much potential.
I just had the coolest idea. It flies in. It's got 2 modules of a base on it for an outpost, and then it's got your vehicles ready to go for combat. So it actually drops your forward base in, and you got your vehicles for attack ready to go. And so can you imagine that in a ground assault from space, and it flies in, drops a base with Marines already in the modules, and they just all pile out, and that's like
and you have your field hospital already there.
Yeah, field hospital and your barracks, so people can respawn and get fuel. Oh, that man!
It's literally like those. It's like in those RTS games where you got those bases being deployed in by other big, you got one ship to carrying your fucking forward operating base, and you got another ship carrying like your barracks and stuff, and it's just like bam. It's not something that's going to take you, you know, weeks and weeks to build. It's going to be built in like 10, 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
And I could see, and that Star Lifter seemed to really fit that Drake idea, whereas the pocket carrier, the whatever they call it, to me, it fits more the consolidated outline.
No, I agree with you.
It's hands down on the consolidated outlands, because honestly, I don't want to be on a Drake version of the Drake aesthetic does not work with that. For one,
well, it's a 6-ship carrier, and that's supposed to go to a pirate base. Is that the offshoot of that? That doesn't seem realistic. It's like pirates don't normally. I see them more likely to use an Idris, a stolen Idris, than over this. You know, this seems more commercial.
No, this is better for pirating, actually, because it gives you more ships, it can move, and you have your spawning facilities and everything like that. And the fact is, you could then just say, hey, we're civilians. Don't attack us.
It's a movable truck stop.
Did they actually... Oh, yeah, it's a truck stop. Yeah.
They talked about it as a movable truck stop.
Did we move over to the carrier?
Flying
it looks like we've shifted the cost of the carrier. Sorry, guys.
Okay, no worries. I was like, carrier? What? I thought we were still talking about the...
It's basically a truck stop or a space station as a ship. It just seems kind of ridiculously huge to me, or like as I said, a cantina from Star Wars. It just seems to do too much, and it treads on territory of not just being a carrier, but it treads on the Banu and the 890 Chump, and it seems like it's got a bit of an identity crisis, and it's that type of ship that would just balloon like crazy.
It also ruins the Idris, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is it. We're not going to use your Idris for any sort of like industrial-based purposes anymore, like with prospectors and mining and looking after them, or like on a big salvage claim. It's like it's regulated very heavily to a military and force projection role, because if you're doing a pure industry role like mining or salvage or whatever the thing is with the interacts with other ships, this new ship, this Drake Kraken, is probably the better choice as a support platform.
It's better for combat.
It's your military auxiliary carrier for bringing ships up to resupply your capital ships or your frontline ships. It's your transport ship for taking ships across jump drives, which raises my bugbear that you guys all know is why single fighter ships have that jump drive. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's a ship that is doing what the Pioneer does. Pioneer is this great thing that Consolidated Outland do. We're taking what the big companies do and putting it into everyone's hands, and this ship is doing the same thing. It's taking your Cryastro station out of the hands of the Xi'an and everyone, putting it into the hands of every man. It
doesn't fit the Drake aesthetic and the whole idea of what they do.
Consolidated Outland to a T.
You know the Battlestar Galactica biodome ship? Do you guys remember that vaguely at all? It's not that dissimilar from the Endeavour in a way with the biodomes. I actually see it like a giant biodome where the ships kind of land underneath, but it's a city inside the biodome type of thing, like a bazaar. That's how I saw it when they first started talking about it. And the other part of it is I see this would be very comfortable. You know how my idea of the Endeavour mini city? This would be in the middle of that with the Endeavours all around it.
Yeah.
Well, anyone who had an Endeavour and they wanted to do a mini sort of city while they travel around the place using the hangar, this ship sort of blows that idea away.
That was the plan of a lot of people.
Why get a hangar? If I've got an Endeavour, I've got one of those around. Get a hangar.
Yeah.
The Endeavour.
Well, the thing that this ship does, which is terrible, and I hate to say it this way, is it literally dwarfs. It gets rid of the Idris, in my opinion, because combat-wise, why would I do that when I can actually refuel now retaliators? I can put retaliators on that thing because they were talking a while back about they mentioned offhand about putting a caterpillar landing on that thing. Now you can refill retaliators. You can now refill those large vanguards, things that you couldn't normally rearm, refuel. And you would have this placed out like a real carrier, many jump points away, and you just launch your fighters. They fire their ordnance, come back, and you have a lot more.
Not jump points away.
It might not
kill
land
them
on
freaking jump points on fighters. Go into the zone, and that fighters, fighters having jump drives. It's nuts. They should be carried in on a carrier, and then they give them that extra quantum fuel.
I was going to say the same thing. Instead of that extra for the, I'm sorry, but like this is what I would envision my military. Hell yeah, that's exactly. I was going to use the Drift, but now fuck, I can use one or two of these, and dude, you're set. Just have them sitting somewhere a couple quantums away. You know what I mean? And just like you said, Algorithm, I agree. Put like your small close range fighters with just more quantum fuel, go in there, do what they need to do, and come back and refuel, and just go over again within like an hour, 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Just to clarify, something that's in our chat right now.
Yeah, read that chat line, that top chat line. That's hilarious. I agree with that 100%.
What chat? Which one?
It only competes with moving ships, nothing else.
It does, but here's the deal with the Idris. The Idris, yes, it has combat capability, but a true carrier is literally worthless in combat. And this is where this ship would be actually a true carrier in every definition of the word. It would be there to refuel, repair, and you would have and it would be far enough away that combat wouldn't happen. And if it does get there, that's where you have Hammerheads and Polarises sitting around it going, "Hey, bro, you want to fight?"
Yeah, I think, as they've described it, it's like a Banyan Merchantman version of Drake. And I think that's too elaborate for Drake. I think it literally needs to be stripped back just to the carrier part. More like the lifter we just described.
Yeah, the lifter.
I think the lifter's such a better idea than this.
The lifter is Drake.
Yeah, to me. I'll tell you my pet peeve about this one. And okay, so like they just brought out the Pioneer. They just promoted doing land bases on the rest, and then they tried to sell us land claims. And now they've literally just sold the idea of a base in space.
Your fucking flotilla.
What about these land bases and these land claims we just did? Are they now useless? Because now we have a floating base in space. I mean, you can move that from planet to planet. I don't even know if this can land or not. Probably not. But why not keep it in? You keep a base in orbit. Who wants a damn stingy outpost anymore? You know,
it's like when I can have a movable base. Yeah, hell.
Yeah, it's like
go mine, bring the stuff up. Have it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all right now because like it's they can sell us to this now because we already bought their land, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because no one's going to be able to afford this ship. This ship is so expensive. I'm like, it won.
Oh, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter that they sold us land already because the community's voting for this one. This is what the community wanted.
New PTU update just came
out. I bet you he put this in and slipped it in after saying there's not going to be a capital, and he didn't tell anyone. And now it's going to win. He's going to be in trouble for making a concept that everyone voted in and was popular, and they probably didn't plan for.
It just treads on too many other ships. Like let's have a quick list. We got 890 Jump. We had Endeavour. What was the other one you said, Dyson? That treads on the. Come on, Dyson. Think quick.
Sorry, I'm monitoring chat quickly.
Yeah, so it just treads on the Endeavour. Like it's just treading on
Endeavour, the 890 Jump, the Idris.
And even possibly some of the fact that and it's out of it. But think about the Javelin. If it's supposed to have all those extra modules according to the original sale, what's the point of a floating city when the Javelin was kind of
the Javelin was supposed to be the org base of operations? You know, that's treading on the Javelin too.
Yeah, because this is the forward base of operations. Yeah.
The only thing it doesn't have is combat. That's all it doesn't have.
It doesn't need that.
Everything
else. It doesn't need it. It's got the ship.
Everything's going to support it. It has enough fighters if you needed it, and its fleet around it, because no carrier does not have a fleet.
I don't think we need it. I think it really takes the space away from space, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And not to mention it takes away from the ground stuff they've all mentioned. It's just too big. And the other way is if you even limit it to just shops, it treads on the Bounty Merchantman and the 890 Jump. I don't like the whole idea of it. Just seems like it's reworked shit.
Yeah, it takes over the base of their main the truck stops idea. You know, why go to a truck stop when I can just come here? Why go to a Cryastro when I can just come here?
They did mention player runs truck stops too, didn't they? So what's the point?
So what's the point of having a truck stop I can't move? I can have this thing. So to me, it's everything that we don't need, but everything that the game is going to have, but everything we don't need in a single ship.
If it had a single store, I'd have no problem with that. Like
player-run store. That's like, why did you get a bounty then?
No, just a singular store. So it's like a real step down from the 890 Jump in that, like a junkyard dealer store, like Watto from Star Wars or whatever. So basically, it's transporting all these ships and vehicles underneath it, and then basically on the top, it's almost like a bit of a second-hand shop type of thing. But then you got to have like the limitation there would be is that it doesn't have a lot of longevity. So basically it's an A to B vehicle, and if you want to get extra shit you have to refuel a lot along the way and stuff like that. So if it was more like a one-man operation ship where he kind of lives off the ship, I think that'll almost be too powerful. I think you want it to be it's something you literally just a transporter.
It would be just for orgs too, because that's the only people who
would
have this, or those orgs.
No.
Well, the thing is, it'd be also, if you call it individuals, it'd be for those orgs that are running a ship like this to transport other orgs who are willing to relocate their entire fleets from point A to point B, but don't want to actually have to fly it.
A ship that needs a small group of people as a minimum. This is like, not one of those.
Consistently. This would be spawn all the time. I don't see them having this despawn.
Do you guys have that ship? No, sorry. You know, we have it here in Australia. I'm pretty sure you guys got it there. Those trucks that deliver new cars to the showrooms and stuff, and they're all stacked up along. That's what I see. That as what it is. It's a ship that carries other ships. They aren't unloaded easily or quickly. It's literally a ship transporter. So you can, if you decide you want to move from Terra to Earth or vice versa, something like that, it's a ship moving ship, and that has a little store on it. And I wouldn't even have a bed on it. Like I'd literally
discuss it as. That's the problem.
Yeah. That idea. Well, there's so many problems with this shit. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what they've said the hulls could do in kind of their containers, of having the ships kind of in containers and take it. This was, you land on the landing pad and hey, there's a lift, we can take it down into the compartment where you can actually repair, and then when you want to attack, you kind of and do the priority stuff. You launch.
What's the point of the port crucible? The port crucible sitting here going, that's all I do.
Yeah, that's all he does. And now it's not only you got a carrier, you got a you got a fucking Idris, you got a freaking crucible, you got a freaking retaliators. So it's
build all your ships by this one. There you go.
So, someone earlier in chat said, "What would the price of this ship be?"
I was about to ask that. Wait. We're going to go around and ask every individual and think what they're going to do this.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to go first then.
Okay, you do first.
I think it's Javelin price.
Okay, Algrid.
But I'd say 2,750 because it's mid. Javelin Idris.
Dyson.
Warbot, 2,000 credits, 2,500.
Snake.
Wow, you all are totally off by me. I'm actually thinking it's going to be 1,300 at least, because I foresee this as the size of an Idris, maybe. But instead of all that extra guns and everything, it's just solely a carrier. And that's what they said. They said, oh, it can carry, a max. And it's like, but they didn't say how many freelancer max it could carry. It could carry just one, you know what I mean? And if it's a transport, or you know what I mean? Like a transport carrier where it's just like ships and ships and ships and there's no room for anything else. That's what I think it is. Because you look at the inside of an Idris, imagine without all that bullshit, like you could probably fit like a Retaliator in there. You know what I mean? Like if it was just a little bit wider.
They should call it the.
I've got to go with what Snake's going to say. 1,500 war bond and probably maybe 1,700 credits if they sell it for credits at all. Because these days it's all about the war bond.
It just depends on how big it's going to get. It's just
I definitely think it'll be a limited sale ship.
Definitely a limited sale.
Yeah.
If it comes, it'll be limited.
You're saying it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
I think sadly,
it doesn't have to be a limited sale. I hate to say at that price. At that point in time, it's literally.
There has not been a ship over $1,000 that has not been a limited sale. So
yeah, I know, but it doesn't have to be because price limiting.
I think this is an important topic we should discuss. I think because the description of this ship is so broad, it appeals to so many people. It's going to win the vote, right? But I think it's because they've kind of put out this description, and even today when we've talked about it, we've all had a different version of it in our heads, and I think it's allowed everyone to imagine how cool it could be, and I think that's why it's going to win. But I don't think anyone will get what they asked for when it finally comes to fruition.
Well, the thing is, CIG probably never thought they were going to make a ship like this. I can't see it. The description,
they already said that
they had a brief description, and then they had these people who had no idea about what the ship really was to speculate on what it might be, and it just went way above probably what they thought it would ever do.
Exactly,
and now the public have been sold this great ballooned concept of grandeur, and they're all going to vote on it, and there's going to be this expectation that CIG is going to be going, we can't make one of these? What? No.
The idea of the Scout Carrier really did pick
Shame
up
on you, Disco. We're going to have to...
The idea of the Scout Carrier really did come from, it's years and years ago, about the pocket carrier for Drake. So I can see what they're doing, but it's just, yeah.
They got to make it a little bit more focused. So, sorry, XQ, I got this on my. I apologize. It was just bugging me. Because we're sold on, Drake, like, oh, it's stepping on so many different roles and so many different jobs. I hope they really focus it hard on just carrying ships, just like you said, a transport. Oh, it's not going to be easy to unload them, but it's just going to transport them some way. Because, if not, then it's like, what's the point on getting an Idris? What's the point on getting a Javelin? What's the point on getting a Abandoned Merchantman? Just like you said. And another thing I want to attack right now, if you guys don't mind, A lot of people are saying it's going to be a lot cheaper because it's made by Drake, and they're cheap. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's people who are hearing what they want to hear, and at the end of the day, they think, I really want this ship, so it's going to be cheap because it's Drake. That's the reasoning, but they're not sinking in that this is an Idris class vessel. This thing is freaking huge. I mean, look at the Pioneer. That's not military. That's industry. But this is going to be probably bigger. I don't know.
Yeah. If you stripped it back to something more like the lifter that literally just moved vehicles, or like what I said about the truck that moves cars, if you stripped it back to there, I could see it being as cheap as $350 at the size of an Idris. But all it does is transport vehicles, and there's it's bare minimum, like no beds. Barely any weapons, I'd imagine. If it was literally bare minimum, I could see it being as cheap as $350, but that's all it can do is move other ships.
Snake hit it on the head, the idea that if you make it focused only as a ship carrier and it has no function for repair, for housing or cargo, it's designed to take ships from A to B, down the planet side maybe, to transport things around, then suddenly the ship is incredibly useful still, but doesn't tread on the toes of all these other ships that are supposed to be specific purpose to looking after, squadrons and, fleets and servicing them.
This is the issue with this entire blasted sale idea. I hate this entire concept here of what they did with Stream, because they need to give us defined ideas that at least have maybe some concept art, or at least more than one or two sentences. They need to give us defined, here is the role, because everyone's going to be voting on any of these ships based off of what they want, or a comment that one of the guys they heard say when they're just bantering ideas that aren't any defined. CIG needs to rework this idea. At least with the greatest starship competition that we got, we knew what we were getting. They more defined, and we got to see something before we voted.
I'm surprised they didn't do a rough sketch, just no color, just outlines, and this is what we think the ship is, and it'd be, oh wow, I think it's
everything.
Yeah, it's an idea.
It's everything.
Yeah,
you can't have a picture. It's everything.
Would you guys say it's a bit pandering to the communities? In it's
manipulating, not pandering.
Yeah, but pandering, like the carrier feels like pandering. Like it's just, the description was so open and so
I think
broad.
it was a mistake. I think they didn't know what the ship was.
They
just speculated, and it blew up into this big pie in the sky. And all the hype is growing around it, and it's just coming to this point where it's crushing us, and they can't live up to it.
You're 100% correct in that.
Yeah,
it's manipulating.
What you said. You go, Dustin.
Sorry, I'm stopping now. I'm just saying they just wanted to make it. They're manipulating us. So it's not pandering at all. It's just they knew we'd vote for it. They saved it for last. They knew what we would do. They're just making us think that it was our decision.
I think you're giving him too much credit. I'm sorry, Execute. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to be real quick. Like when they were on that live stream, they clearly showed a few times that they didn't know what they were talking about. Like the way they I know that guy was a graphics guy and he kind of stuffed up big, but even the other guys let hints to they don't have their pulse on the community. And I actually reckon they need to put Josh Coombs up to community ship manager. He needs to work hand in hand with Ben Lesnick, in my opinion. Like the things he said on
this stream. They should have had Ben Lesnick, because he is the original a ship guy, and he can say, oh no, we can't do this, oh we can do that. He would have been the perfect person to guide the rest of them any ideas and nay or yay them. I'm surprised they didn't get him on.
Well, what I was just going to quickly add was the Josh Coombs is how he took all the reference art and he actually used what he needed from the community to get that Cutlass to work well. And they need to use the Cutlass as a really good example of a ship done right, because you don't want to take everyone's advice on board, but you want to kind of like it just lets you see things that you didn't see, because the more perspectives you have on an object, the better and clearly you see it, so to speak. And because there's so many more of us, not all of us are going to be correct, but if we're telling you lots of different things and you can see what the majority is saying, you get a really clear picture. And I just wish they would do, because I'd love to see 10 people, as an example, tell me what they think that carrier is, and I guarantee you almost every one of them will be different.
They've left it
Yeah,
too
that's
open-ended.
simple.
It's not defined at all.
Yeah.
It's whatever
It's not a
anyone
fair
wants
vote.
it to be.
It's not a fair
Everybody
vote
wants-
for any of the concepts.
Yeah. It's and of course, like I mean, it's I don't know. I think you guys give him too credit. It kind of showed that Disco, like, it's like he was one of the ones that knew, like, shit. You know, we're gonna break up a carrier. Everyone's gonna flip their shit and be like, oh, I want it. But I feel like
Well,
he
they did
didn't know
beforehand.
really what he was getting into.
No, I have a feeling.
Beforehand, if you're waiting for the stream, it was had things like, if you vote for the pocket carrier, you'll get 404. It was being plugged as this is going to be a pocket carrier.
It's pretty. As soon as he put up the vote, I knew the answer. I knew what would happen, and just watching his expression as he realizes what's gone wrong, and the votes are going off. He quickly took it off screen after it got absolutely ridiculous and didn't show the votes.
Yeah. Even before I talked about it, 80% of the vote is going for. Don't vote for it right away because you don't
Too late.
know what it is.
Cat's out
He
of the
should
bag.
never. He should never
Hashtag
have put
carrier. The word
He should-
carrier, 80% of the vote. Bang.
He shouldn't have put the vote up until at the very end. That
Yes.
was really clear as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I could see we need a ship like that at some point, and lesser scope, but that does that type of thing. I don't think it's Drake. It doesn't feel like Drake.
No.
But
No.
that Starlifter one, the ideas of a Starlifter working hand in glove with a Caterpillar, being able to lift stuff or move stuff, being able to steal a habitation mode if you pre-arrange for stuff so you can carry it away, being able to transport base modules where you need them.
Yeah.
That
I also think the
fits.
constellation size salvage one fits as well. I think
Yeah.
they're like we've come up better ideas in what, half an hour than they came up with in weeks. I just
I know.
find that strange.
It's
Um,
good.
I
We
I
haven't
get along
talked about
there,
one
but
ship,
what-
by the way. What about the poor first ship of the three that they
that's
talked about? What was the name of that again?
The medium storage runner, is that what?
Yeah,
you're
medium
talking
storage runner. It's like a Herald cargo medium ship.
about? Yeah, it was like a
Oh,
bigger
shit.
version of a Herald that can
Do
carry.
you remember when he talked about the Faraday cage? I thought that was
Yeah.
a really cool idea. So you'd have this kind of exoskeleton tube at the back, and then it's kind of like a big rocket, and then almost like a Drake Herald nose at the front. That's what I envisioned in my head, and it's just this cheap tube. And also, just to add, sorry, because I forgot about this, but when you were talking about the Drake capital ship, it'll consolidate land over it instead of Drake. I don't see Drake as a capital ship manufacturer. It's too expensive.
No, that's right. I don't see them doing that either.
Yeah.
To me, it's outside of what Drake do. It just whereas Consolidated Outland, they've kind of got that. Yeah, we're going where no one else goes. This seems to me a Consolidated Outland, but the medium ships.
Medium ship. What do you think of that? So it's really cheap construction because it's just a tube,
Faraday cage.
like a Faraday cage, yeah. And he I almost agree with Elwin said. It's almost like a rocket. So you just get this simple tube, and it's probably got three doors that open.
Fairly disappointed that they decided to go with a super fast cargo ship because we already have plenty of cargo ships. We have plenty of fast cargo alternatives.
Yep.
What they should have done was a dedicated smuggler ship. They should have done a stealth variant with actual, protected storage that you can't scan through easily in order to hide cargo and hidden.
Well, that's what I liked
compartments.
about. That's what I liked about the Faraday cage idea. You know, you're not sending stuff out. You're not sending stuff in. The pilot's the only guy who can do that.
It is kind of a smuggling.
else.
It is kind of a smuggling ship because it's just based on speed, which is the cheapest thing you have, and again, it fits the Drake aesthetic. It is
And
a
it's
smuggling
also
ship.
better than all the
Just
cargo
fast
ships
as
out there
hell.
currently.
But
Because all the current ones are armed, or they have lots of cargo. They don't have speed.
And you can't see it because of the Faraday cage. You turn on the Faraday cage, and it's so. All you get is
And it
interference
reduces-
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it thinks.
Hey,
the
I've got
Drake-
interference. There's a jump point over here.
But I do agree with Hayes' point: is we don't kind of need another cargo ship.
Yeah.
We don't. There's way too many.
Cargo runner, not a cargo, information runner, or large scale information runner. Something that can do
that would have been
stuff.
Absolutely amazing. Make a medium-sized information hacking, information runner, electronic warfare type ship. Not much defenses, but it's sort of we go in and we screw with your communications or hack into your ship, and maybe someone else then goes and raids you, but that's our job.
Yeah, major communication platform.
Yeah, I would see it more as just a data mover, not a hacker. Again, with the Faraday cage idea, I think, again, you'd tread on the Herald's feet too much, and you're going into Warden territory. I do agree with the idea to be able to move data. I think that's really good. Again, you got to think Drake aesthetic every time. So, yeah, that fits with Drake. The Faraday cage and hiding from people and the cheaper versions of stealth, that, again, you just got to think of, the cheap $2 stores here in Australia? That's what I see Jake at. If you went there to buy a Starship, that's where you'd be going. You'd be going into
but
with I would much rather see stealth come from someone else for your cargo run, because I would like to see something that's a little bit more of that high-tech, wing style shape, so it's actually decent in atmosphere. So you can have something that can land, take off, go really fast, and maneuver in atmosphere.
Excuse me, guys, I've got to disappear for a bit. Back in a minute.
I definitely,
and that sadly screams Aegis.
I definitely don't think you'd be able to land this ship on the ground, put it that way. If it was the Faraday cage idea that I've kind of said with the tube, I agree with you on that.
You need something in the ground.
But that'll be its drawback, though, is because it can do data and has that little bit of stealth and it's cheaper construction, it can't land. Again,
you had already simulated that, because it's we can't afford Bluetooth, because he said you could have a little bit more data, you just have to grab this little cartridge and walk it out over to wherever you're transporting it.
I do think we need a proper electronic warfare of a medium-sized ship, as well as a data runner type ship. It's a very techy sort of sciencey hacking and communications-based ship. I don't think it steps on the toes of the Drake Herald at all. I think that expands out the idea of what is possible.
What if you had that Constellation salvage ship we talked about? What if there was a module for that made that also an e-warfare variant?
Well, I think that's not as good, because at the end of the day, that's if you make this profession a real profession, there's no way a simple module you could put it on any ship. If you make a dedicated ship, with several different hacking stations and people hacking through a ship, you make this an expert at what it does.
Ooh, hear me out on this. And so you take that exploration vessel, because they said exploration. You put a giant dish on it, a radio telescope. You have two radio telescopes on there, at miniature size from your Endeavor, and you say, "Oh, this is a exploration vessel looking for jump points," and we're sitting here just soaking up all this data into these giant terabyte computers. And when you get caught, you have those 3 turrets to go shoot things.
And what does the snub vessel do on
the snub is like a herald. It's a legit herald, so you pop that out when you get caught, and you shoot out the herald with the information, and you get out.
It's like an escape pod with all your data.
Yeah, When the herald's hooked up to the ship, it's actually the information's actually being loaded onto the herald, ready to go.
Yeah.
And the herald.
Maybe you could shoot out the herald as a relay beacon, so it gets closer to the target undetected, and then you relay the information back, and it hacks in.
So it's both ways. It works in multiple ways as a way to escape information.
And you could use the dish on the herald while it's attached to the ship as well, so it kind of shoots out the back. Oh, that's a really clever idea. I like that. Not something I would have.
No.
But I like you have the guns on there to defend itself. Unlike the herald, you imagine your herald's out there. Your herald runs to this ship. This ship then goes, and you're like, "We want this ship," and you're like, "Wait, that's a lot of firepower. Never mind."
I like the idea of using the herald as a wireless access point. That's a really cool concept, and I can see some really cool teamwork there. So that operator on the ship, instead of hacking at that point, he comes a guy that's just managing the data and he could almost have a mini game where he's trying to keep the frequency as strong as he can to get the most bandwidth through. Yep. That'd be kind of cool. And then there's just this huge group of hackers on the other side on that ship, 6 to or whatever, pick a number, and they're just siphoning through the data as quickly as they can. That'd be really interesting gameplay. And then when shit hits the fan, you know, and they're going to lose all the data, they transfer it to the Herald, and the Herald just kind of ejects and gets the fuck out of Dodge. Just
yeah, and then they come in and give us everything, all the data you've got. You're like, oh, here you go.
We weren't doing it. We're a legit.
We ain't got no data. You know,
we're a legit commercial company. Look, here are our files.
We're explorers.
We don't know anything about that data leak you were going back with that Herald. We've got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so you just load it all in back onto the Herald once it reconnects, and if you get, you know, you're getting scanned or whatever is going through space, it just drops off and it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really clever. Adam, mate, sounds awesome.
Can we now mention this for this Connie-sized vessel and say, hey, we need this, because that would also fit Drake, which has the Inforunners, the only dedicated one.
I think both the ideas need to be put forward, both that and the salvage gunship. I think both. I'd love to see those. That's pretty much come to my top vote now, where I think we need to vote the Constellation equivalent, because that's in the vote. I wish
they had put more polish on each and every one of these concept ideas, because it seems to me as if they did this on the back of a napkin the day before.
Yeah.
It's like
the name. Oh, what it does.
I can tell you too, as a former developer, one of the reasons they've left it so open is then they can do what they actually want.
Yeah, that's totally going to work for the carrier after the expectations have shot through the roof.
Yeah. You can't do everything you wanted because it's so big. That's like 15 ships. But yeah, I did see one comment on that was made in terms of if we're talking that Inforunner ship as being a cargo ship or personnel carrier or everything else. Basically, all you've got is a caterpillar with different modules.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas that data runner idea, where you've got it loaded with these decks, that's 6 posts that are doing this, and it's doing this, and it's got the Herald that's working with it. That's something you can't do with the caterpillar. It is, and it does fit that Drake idea. And
it would also open up exploration.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, it would work for exploration, because you still could do exploration, and it kind of puts it in a real interesting spot, because it's halfway between a larger version of the Herald, which we need another hacker type style ship or data runner ship, but also we need more science vessels.
Yep, and it fits in with that science working on progress and what that's kind of like your discovery.
Yeah, and it works with Drake too.
They haven't expanded out the info-running profession any more than the Drake Herald, and they really need a larger ship to expand the idea what that profession's going to be.
Yeah,
it should be more than just what a Herald can do.
A relay ship makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think they need a really big data
medium ship though.
Yeah, but but like constellation size. Like,
to take a team with you.
Yeah, it works really well. And I see it working. Oh man, that having the Herald be able to dock with it, my mind is like, oh wow, that's so cool. Herald's not the first dockable ship I think of, but if you could actually have it come up somehow and connect to the side, it's got that side door. That would be really cool. I never thought I'd ever see the Herald as a snub, but it makes so much sense. And if it could somehow connect, and you can. I'm picturing, the helicopter they have. So if you got the back of it's kind of like a helicopter. If there's some kind of magnet that holds the Herald, and then they turn on the satellite dish in the Herald, and it can rotate, and they can actually use the satellite at the same time. It's that hand and glove type thing. Like, it's additive. Wow, that just there's a lot of gameplay in there, and it's wow.
Does anyone else
sorry,
have...
I know I'm going over this, but
we've got about really 30 minutes before I need to pull the plug, so I'm thinking we need to move on to questions. But anyone else have anything they want to say about today's sale before we start doing questions?
Remember, it's all war bond. Don't melt anything unless you're able to go with cash for the new starter ships.
All right. That all? Snake, Algrid? Okay.
No, I have nothing else to say. Execute. You theorize the shit out of this ship. I'm just saying.
Oh okay. No! Well, I'm one of. Sorry, just real quick. I'm one of those people that someone gives me an idea and it just my mind runs. So when I used to work in game development, that's what I was. I was the ideas man. I know that sounds really stupid, but someone would have this concept and someone would have this, and I'd be able to just put them together. Anyway,
I can tell that DOS, I basically gave you the recipe.
In terms of a comment, no, it's not snubbing the Herald. It's actually adding gameplay to the Herald and a bigger
Yes.
ship.
Yeah, but oh, well, I
It's
just
not,
never.
it's not really being seen. It's not really seeing it as a
When
snub.
I-
It's seeing a ship that works.
It's like
expanding
Pandora
its
Galaxy.
horizons.
I should reword snub to docking.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the questions. We're actually going to cover the questions we missed tomorrow because we ran out of time, so I'm doing those first.
Actually, I know a lot of them were asked by Merlin, and I actually talked to him yesterday. He got a lot of his answered, so any that are asked by Merlin, just skip them.
All right. Sorry, Merlin.
You can come and talk to me later, Merlin, if you want more answers. But I know I answered a lot of them yesterday.
Okay,
And guys,
we're
we do
going to
have
do this
Discord.
very quickly now, so let's try to shoot through these. Clayton Alencar asks, guys, if you had to pick one, Starfarer or Prospector, what would you pick for solo gameplay?
Prospector.
Prospector. Hell yeah.
Starfarer is more versatile, though.
I would definitely pick the Starfarer because like I could land on a planet and do some mining and take a vehicle with me. It's for me as a solo person, I still think that's versatile enough.
I would
you
actually
could be able
say
to do that
option D,
on your own.
which is Terrapin. I know that's not a main option, but that's actually better
Of
solo
those
ship.
two ships
Try
to
it.
solo play for me by myself, Prospector. The Starfarer is a multiplayer ship.
That's what I was saying. Why would
You
you,
know,
pick
so-
a Starfarer on your own?
If I've got two or three mates, then you have a Starfarer. But if it's just me,
All right, next
Prospector.
question. We've got to rapid fire these. Come on, go. Next one. Boom.
Oh, great.
Sorry, Sam.
That was actually all
No,
the
no, I
questions.
said
'cause
it. I
Merlin
said
had like most of the questions
I told
yesterday.
you. I told you.
It's true.
I did tell you. All right, so let's go on to today's questions. Boom. Next.
Yes, I'm going through them very quickly.
Because there was a lot. There is a lot.
yeah, I saw them popping up all the time.
We'll try and rapid fire
Okay,
them.
Lem Ist question: can we land the unlandable ships in water?
Only if it has low gravity.
And hull C. And there's enough
And
water
hull.
under the water for the cargo to go.
Do you
into
have
the water?
watertight containers? I hope your ship.
Well, they're space tight, so why wouldn't they be watertight?
It's different direction the pressure's going, you know. So it's,
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
And there
Yeah.
is more pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Okay, Danny BH asks, conundrum: melt a Phoenix or a Banu Merchantman for either a Hammerhead or a Polaris. What to do?
Keep
Upgrade
Banu
from
Merchantman.
Phoenix.
Keep the Banu.
Keep the Banu. and-
Keep the Banu. That's the right answer.
Keep the
Everything
Banu.
else doesn't matter.
Keep
Yeah,
the Banu.
yeah.
Melt the
Yeah.
Phoenix, and then do whatever.
Oh, would you melt the Phoenix or would you upgrade from the Phoenix to something else?
If-
I would upgrade.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
I'd
no.
buy the upgrade token from the Phoenix and not apply it until I was certain.
That's an even better option.
I think the Phoenix is going to be a nice ship, no matter what. But I don't think it's as nice a ship as a BMM or a Carrack.
No.
And I don't think
Yeah.
it's going
I
to
would-
be useful
I would-
as a Hammerhead or a Polaris. And so,
A Phoenix would be as useful as a 600i. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, that's the
Nothing
problem,
useful
Snake.
about it. There's nothing useful about it.
That is the problem.
Snake nailed it in a nutshell. He just fucking owned this all. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, Hammerhead.
Right, next question.
But-
Rapid fire. I'm trying to get this quick as I can. Sorry, I'm gonna be a bit harsh today and cut people off. Go next.
Question: do you guys please also speculate a bit more on the stealth cargo ship's sins? That's really a ship I want for a long time, and a ship build for stealth and cargo. So it's hard to read that one.
Did we talk about the Retaliator as
Yeah.
a cargo ship? Yes, the other day. He wants a bit more speculation. I think kind of what Hayes was saying earlier today about the medium cargo runner, that's the other way you could take it, is you could take it into a stealth cargo runner, because the only other ship that does that at the moment, and it's not official, it's the kind of the outside of it, is it, what do they call that? The body?
The fringe.
The frame. No, you know when they talk about the different scanning
Phenotype.
methods?
The
The silhouette. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that. They've said the Aegis will have stealth because of their silhouette, the shape and body. Of
Well,
the
yeah,
ship.
that's how today works. Like literally, like a lot of stealth ships use the paint that helps refract radar and the shape of it. It has the curves, so when a radar hits it, it's not supposed to bounce. It's supposed to bounce in a different direction instead of back to where it came from.
Cutlass Black is the other one. I just thought there is another one, the Cutlass Black. But other than those two, it'd be nice to see something that's probably got a bit of that Faraday cage idea, so it stops interdiction. That's kind of a cool idea. I did like that quite a lot. What do you guys think? Because
Constellation Taurus with a shielded bay and engines that are boosted so that way it can just get out of dodge.
Yeah, you see, I'd like to see more ships that are like the Taurus, that are more promoted towards cargo, but have smuggling specific like equipment or places. But maybe faster.
What if there was a ship for smuggling, right, and it's designed around a fairly smallish cargo bay area, but it actually has a redundant engine because of EMPs. So if you EMP one engine, the other engine just kicks straight in and it keeps going.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So backup systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, a redundant system that's turned off until it's actually...
Sounds like the Genesis to me. Haha.
Or one day you turn on when you're desperate and you just need that speed, you turn them both on and you're like, peace, guys!
Yeah, but it'd have no engine, it'd have no guns or anything, but it'd just be like two giant engines, like, because you imagine two heralds next to each other type of thing, and instead of all the bears and computers and stuff, but it's just a cargo bay that carries quite a small but high, like you could fill it full of drugs or something that's highly illegal, but if that ship's got to get through, it'll get through because of the redundancy, so you can just switch one off, and while the other one's recovering, boom, the other one comes on. Or you can put both on at the same time and just go really, really fast. But
that's good because... Go on.
No, go. No, I was just going to say.
Okay, I was going to say, I was just reaffirming you, like, that's a good idea, because it's like, oh, you got interdiction, like, of course they were talking about not just EMP, but, it preventing you from quantum. It's like, oh, who needs quantum? You got freaking engines that'll propel you, to 3,000 meters a second. Bye. And
that kind of raises the question, like, with, sorry to do this, but with the Vanguard, that's supposed to have all that redundancy in its systems, and yet there's not redundancy because first system gets knocked out. Both systems were already running, so if you get hit with an EMP, everything goes down. Whereas you hope if it's got redundancies, you get hit with an EMP, then those systems pop up and keep you going. So yeah, I like that idea of.
If you look at a lot of the stealth ships at the moment, they seem to be very low and flat. Almost like a pancake, if you get my meaning. So they're designed around lowering the size of their body that can be scanned, so they seem smaller. So I think it would have to be almost a flat ship as well.
They'll never do it, but the Eclipse. The Eclipse is a great ship, and just imagine removing the missile bay or having a ship similar to that, and you just have cargo in that missile bay.
Yep.
I'm going to segue into the next question on that, because he actually asked about the Eclipse. I have an upgrade of the Phoenix also. Should I... No, that's the wrong question. Forget that. Do you think there will be a ship more stealthy than the Eclipse?
That's a wait and see question. And we need to know how the...
I agree, the Prowler.
Prowler, because of the ability to land on the shield things. Like, it's just going to be able to come in almost like a
Oh, that's right. We established this. I can talk about this. Yes, I'm surprised you didn't talk about
Prowler
that. Yeah, you're right.
Devarin ship.
Yeah, because the Devarin are known for their stealth technology and their shielding technology, and the fact
I actually think, just thinking about it, that the Hawk should have been a Devarin ship, Devarin fighter.
Maybe they'll do Devarin Smuggler, because that's a really good
idea.
idea.
Or Devarin Smuggler, because it's got that little cargo pod as well.
We were talking about that, execute.
Yeah. But not an anvil.
Alright,
Devarin.
Next question.
Jujanman asks, I have the Redeemer LTI. I'm trying to work out if it's worth keeping, as I like the ship for defending my banner.
Right. Well, we don't know yet, but they're expected to rework it this year. I actually have a Redeemer in Melt, so if I can buy it back if I want. So I'm kind of expecting that it could be cool. But we've seen the Hammerhead come in, and now we're... Yeah.
Wow.
There is a spot there for a ship in that size as a gunboat, don't you guys kind of agree? I know you have to take the name of the Redeemer off it, or Hayes gets kind of salty, but a ship that size is something that we need. Every time you bring it up, as soon as it's a Redeemer, you can just seem kind of like...
I think they should just put a dropship module on it, make it more gunship, and that'll be better.
My personal opinion on the Redeemer is it's a mystical unicorn, and it's sort of never been seen out live alive out in the wild, and we do not know what it is or what it will do or what it might become, and so it's no point. You can totally sit on that and hope it's going to be a wonderful ship, and I'm sure it will be, because it's a later concept when they redo it, but trying to make predictions on this, it's like you'll be waiting until the cows come home, you know, a couple of years over. It's like, I'm sorry.
Ask this panel and you get 10 different answers. So
yeah.
I think that the Prowler's the stealth attack ship. This is the gun-ho attack ship, and that's why they wanted those the ability to have some soldiers come out of it. But also the other side of this is, if you look at it very quickly, like with Dyson said, you need to get rid of the soldier part. What if that soldier part was more like a cargo container, and you could either attach it or have it off, so you can do both? And what if you could actually just what if you could actually drop the cargo container? You remember how he had shots of the putting cargo on the back of the Redeemer? What if that was where the soldiers go, and you just literally drop the cargo container? It has guns, bit of medics, and maybe even a bed in it. Wow, that ship just gets way cooler all of a sudden, in my opinion. And then if you don't put it on, it's just an attack craft.
Okay, we ready for the next question?
Yep.
Star Citizen 890J asks, upgrade the Caterpillar to the Orion. Worth it? $30. That's a no-brainer.
Yes.
that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's like,
Can I just say buy the upgrade, but don't apply it, because I still think we might see some surprises with those modules. I want to see the modules before I jump. You know what I mean?
personally,
I think I'd still jump.
I'd still jump. Yeah, it's like, you know.
You're talking a ship.
Does it hurt to wait?
You're asking if the grass is greener on the other side, and you're thinking, well, maybe it's not. I bet no. Grass is greener on that side. Greener? Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The grass may not be as barren on the side of the Caterpillar, but the grass is certainly greener on the side of the Orion.
Yes.
Fuck
yeah. Worst case scenario in game, you can just sell it and be able to buy back 10 times as much, as big as it is now.
Yeah. Jew-man asks again. I have the upgrade of the Phoenix also. Should I sell it?
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
Sell it for $400.
Yeah, as long as you're selling it at cost, I'll buy it. But no, seriously, you'll make a crap ton of money on it.
You'll make a crap ton of money on that thing. They go for $400. Do yourself a favor. Don't sell it yourself. Find a middleman. Do it safe. Cover your ass. But honestly, that's another capital ship. Just in that small little upgrade, and you've got that.
If you want a new best friend, I'm right here.
Sell it, and you've got a Carrack or a
yeah.
Or I really wish I brought one now.
If you're not really after a Phoenix, then yeah, definitely buy it. Definitely sell it.
Oh, no.
Sergeant Funny Bunny asks, do you think there's any potential in a fishing trawler? If they have fish, then I sure as hell hope they let us fish for them. You know, that's my answer.
Land bases. We got land bases. Why not?
Yeah, it's like you got fishing and WoW and other MMOs. Why can't it?
I can just see that now. It comes down to the lake and it's just got this huge laser net, and he's just
and then all the dead fish rise to the top.
Thanks for coming. It just flies off.
That's Atlantis.
Yeah.
It's
the way to catch space whales.
Yeah, a harpoon ship. Yeah.
Or make them space whales. Free Willy, just let it go in space.
Come on, happy hour. They did create a space whale. Hopefully, we'll see it in game. But lives in the upper atmosphere of the gas giants.
Yeah, space whaler. Someone put in chat. That's a cool idea with the harpoons.
Aren't they making a movie about that? Actually,
sorry. A movie about hunting space whales, is there? Really?
Yes.
Yeah?
I could have swore I saw a trailer recently for something like that.
Maybe you're thinking of a Star Trek movie where they go back in time for the whale.
There was also an old video where they had this ship racing through the gas giant type thing after a space whale.
It's called the Leviathan. That's the film.
Leviathan, and it swamps chomps a ship and does nasty stuff. Yep.
Oh, I'll have to check that one out. Next question.
Gecko asks, do you think the Orion will go up in price a lot? It's near Javelin size now. I CCU'd LTI tokens to a Terrapen and a Polaris, and now I need to CCU to an Orion, but my budget ran out. Well, good news is you can buy a Caterpillar to an Orion CCU for only $30, and if you're still too broke to buy that, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. Okay, but is it going to go up in price?
Built something else.
This is one of the few original concept ships where I'm pretty sure it will double in price. I do not think the Reclaimer will double in price. I do think the Orion will.
I reckon it'll potentially triple, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like
Even
it's a
go higher.
capital class, man. Yeah,
It's so
I think it's probably
huge.
got the biggest potential to jump in price over any other ship we've seen.
Okay, they may not say it's capital class, but it's certainly capital sized, and it's going to be.
no.
It's huge.
If a Polaris,
I'm
is
sure
capital
Disco
size,
said,
then look
"Oh,
at
it's
that.
not a capital ship."
That's right. It's not a capital ship. It's
He's
just
the
capital,
only one
it's
who
bigger
will
than a
say
capital
it.
size. It's just bigger than a capital ship, but yeah, it's.
What were you
It's a
going to say,
no-brainer.
Snake?
No, I was saying the same thing. Like, if a Polaris is the capital ship, then what would you call that? Fucking beast.
Yeah, well, I personally think it's a capital ship. I think of capital ships in terms of size, but they look at me in terms of what components. Does it have capital components on it?
They've said it's slightly shorter than a
It
javelin.
might end up getting it if it
So
keeps on
it's
getting bigger.
slightly smaller than a javelin.
It looks like it has as much capacity for ore as a Hull E has for actual cargo. I wonder what's the point of bringing the Hull E out anymore? I mean, it's just takes its own ore home.
Because this thing only carries ore, doesn't carry cargo.
Yeah, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it's-
You know, just like
Yeah, I know. It's a
It's too
no-brainer.
big.
You upgrade.
yeah.
Go into debt if you need to. Sell that kidney
For
that
$30.
$30.
$30. That's right.
for that $30 upgrade from a Caterpillar. Yeah, sell it.
Don't eat for 3 days.
Don't buy coffee from Rich.
That was you again,
stupid
Dyson,
coffee,
wasn't it? Dyson, is that your phone?
It was, you can tell.
I'm calling you out, man. I'm gonna embarrass you on
Okay.
stream. Was that
Next-
your phone? Yeah, that was him. You can tell
Next
the way.
question.
Who has
Sorry.
a home phone? Who still has a home phone?
People that wear
I
light
do.
vests.
I don't.
Ah.
Like, yeah. Juju man asks, is the Phoenix's rare ship anymore because they keep placing it for sale? I don't think it is. They just want it to be.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's rare with LTI. We'll leave it at that. That's how
Yeah,
I'd
that's
believe
it. But
Every-
is it a rare ship in general? I don't think so.
yeah, I think it is. I think it's you look at the number of accounts. Admittedly, half of them are probably doubles, but the number of accounts, 1.9 million. There is probably less than, at most, 5,000.
Yeah, but
Obviously,
I don't think
the
it's
origin
rare
of
as a
the
matter
world
of people
is
can't
Aurora.
get it and the supply isn't there. It's rare because people don't want to buy them without LTI.
It's
Well, they don't,
luxury
want,
shipping.
they don't want to buy it without LTI, and they don't want to buy into that idea that is luxury just to show off. They want if they
Luxury
want
is a
luxury,
show off,
they
and
want-
that's why I don't like Origin. And I think a lot of the luxury ships are going to be rare ships because they're just inflated for
Showboats.
no reason. Yeah, they're showboats. They appeal to a vain demographic of people.
give me
Yeah.
the missions for that that allow me, that I can only do with these showboat ships. Transport this senator, transport this executive, transport this person. And make those missions pay
Or
really well.
negotiate this trade deal on
Yeah.
use your vessel as a floating negotiation area.
Make them so that they are and make them places where you can't do that trade deal in another ship because otherwise you're insulting your host or your other person. So you need that really high power ship. But you don't want it to be just a show pony. You want it to have those missions and things that are going to make money and give gameplay.
I just don't like luxury ships. I hate them.
I've had
because
nothing
you just-
but
luxury
bits
was
of
not
disappointment about
Like,
their
if-
ideal of what luxury is supposed to be.
Like the gameplay for this is akin to watching the movie Bodyguard when I think of the guarding a VIP. And if I wanted to transport people, wouldn't you just take a Genesis because it would at least be quicker and
Depends on the
Safer
purpose.
and faster and redundant and efficient and jeez.
The 890 jump
Depends on what you're trying to do, what the mission is. Like,
Origin feels like they're trying to push shit uphill. Like they keep trying to sell these luxury ships, and the 890 jump only kind of really sold, in my opinion, because it's large and it has shitloads of guns. I don't think it's
sold. Oh, sorry, the Origin. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying the 890 jump. I think its appeal, why it sold well, is it had the guns in that.
It's
And-
the package,
and-
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
idea of some
the idea
luxury
of-
ship.
And to back that up, if you look at the 600i, as soon as they take the guns away, it didn't frickin' sell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the 800, the 890 with its hangar, its guns, its self-defense, its combat bridge, ability to command and
Don't forget
control.
the fighting arena.
and its speed. The speed was the big thing.
Yep.
You know, those things were the things that sold, not the luxury.
All right, we got to move on. Next question, Hayes.
We're actually out of questions, but I got some questions of my own.
All right, go
now,
for it.
this is the final day of the new content for the sale. Is there anything else coming up in the next couple of days before the sale ends?
Yeah, I reckon we could.
No,
Don't they do everything?
probably, yeah. The only thing
we're
They've
done.
done everything.
We're done it with everything. It's just the voting right now, and that's going to be up for a while. And we'll hear about that.
Hopefully the carrier doesn't win. Please vote for
It's
the
actually
small
right
mining
now
vessel.
dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what small salvage vessel? You did mining again, Hayes. It's small salvage.
Small
you're,
salvage.
So is that how the way you're voting? You're voting for the small salvage?
Absolutely. Vote for the small underdog. It's one of the ships we actually need.
I'm gonna go the Constellation competitor.
Constellation doesn't have a chance though, based on how it's voted. So you might as well vote for something that's reasonable and that's achievable.
Yeah.
It's like American elections. You vote for the best you can.
I don't think that salvage ship is. I don't like how it is. I think it needs to be more like a Titan suit.
I think it needs to be a
Titan suit.
I would like to see.
I would like to see a medium version of it.
I'd like to see what the ships that we kind of talked about, and you know, the Starlifter, and that.
Starlifter's not a votable option, though. Unfortunately,
no, I know.
The forums. If we get enough people, if every viewer here is watching right now,
yeah, you're right.
Post on the forums.
Those three options that they gave on the Twitch should have been voted by the forums, and then of those, the winner of that one plus these two, which one do you want us to build?
I think sadly we all can kind of agree that the carrier is going to win it, but to get clear, like a more clearly concise option of what we want, the other two options are clearer. And in fact, if you go, the salvage ship's probably the most clear one, because the Constellation one's been left open as well, as has the carrier. So as you go down the list, it does get worse. I kind of agree with Hayes. Like, if you are voting for the salvage ship, you are clearly getting what you want. Yep. Where as you go down, it gets progressively worse. I just think the idea of the Constellation one works well, because my biggest problem is the size of the salvage ship. Hayes, that's my only problem with it. I'd agree with you. If I could get over that little hurdle.
But I think it'll grow. I think the more they look at it, it'll actually go into something practical, because they'll look at it and they'll be like, well, how is salvage actually going to work? Hold it. This is totally not fun, us having to go from here to here. We need to add tractor beams, or we need to add this. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, we should expect that. That's how everything has become. Like, you notice they release it, and then when they start working on it, like, they're like, oh, this needs to be bigger.
Well, this is it. That small mining ship might end up growing into the medium one we always wanted.
All right, you got me, Hayes. I'll vote for that one then.
I kind of think that the medium ship needs to be kind of like Elwin said, you know, with that small salvage ship as its snub, not as a separate ship.
You know, that's right. It might be the snub for the medium they ship. They realize that, you know, it's no good as a snub by itself. It needs to be assigned with a bigger vessel. So maybe, you know, they'll sell the medium with the snub. But, yeah, makes sense. I can see that.
Make them both and sell the P-52.
Just sell them all.
You do know the person you should listen to most on that panel? I don't know his name, sorry, but it was the guy in the middle in the black shirt. He was the only one there that was the designer.
Matt Sherman.
He was the only one that was the designer there. So the guy on his left was the graphic effects guy. So he really doesn't have a lot to do to right near the end. He just does effects. Elwin models the ships. So really, he's just being told what to do by the people like Matt Sherman that are designers. So they're the ones that kind of come up with what the ship is. And he's the one I would have listened to most. So everything.
Well, Matt Sherman was the one who talked Titan armor with in terms of the salvage ship.
Matt Sherman also goes on a lot of the community streams, and you see him on the Spectrum forums all the time. He's actually really well connected with the community. So
and he also was the one who raised the Faraday cage idea. So the two ideas
all the good ideas that I liked today came from him, surprisingly. Other than Elwin's snub idea for the salvage, I like that as well. But I think once you realise what their roles were, it actually really changed what you think about the ship. And you could tell he kind of didn't really talk about the carrier ship a lot. I don't know if you guys
He shut his mouth. He knew he was in trouble.
Well, didn't he call it the truck stop?
Yes.
He called it the truck stop.
Well, let's actually answer one of these questions that just popped up about our conversation here, which is small salvage is a joke. No cockpit, no laser. Don't you think you can do better? And a cutlass with the same hand tools.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I think, but if they build that ship, they're going to realize that.
Yeah,
and then
I think
they might have to rethink it and maybe grow it a bit to accommodate those tools.
I think that salvage ship reigns too much on the cutters parade, and it actually makes a lot of sense to me to agree 100% with what Hayes just said. I can actually see that salvage ship becoming constellation sized. It makes a lot of sense to me. So that's what I now I look at the two. I can't actually tell which one to vote for now because they both have merits. It's so annoying.
Both of those two should be built. The carrier. But we won't get what we want, or you won't get what you think you want.
Going into the next question, Can't Shoot Me asks, what happened to the human cannon? Or there might be some more coming, you know?
I think that's going to be live stream material. Like, look at the dates, guys. It's in Australia, it's the 2nd of December, so the 1st in the States. We're literally looking at 2 weeks to the live stream. I think that's what it is. It's a hint to the live stream. I honestly thought we were going to send it today, though. I really did. I even said that yesterday. Unless we get something before... 4th of December it ends, guys? Is that... So we've got 2 days, 3 days, unless we see something else, but nothing's scheduled. So.
Okay. I got to admit, I was expecting to see Caterpillar module.
Yeah, it was...
that would have been new. That would have been new stuff, too. Like... we've seen the Cutlass stuff.
We're actually running out of time now, so I'm going to speed run a question to each person. Okay. Last minute Lucy asks, what changes are likely for my Taurus? I'll give you that to you, Algrid.
It'll be bigger.
Okay. Gecko asks, question: if I buy that Caterpillar to Orion CCU for $30, like you said, I need to buy a Caterpillar for it to work right. Give it to you, Dyson.
For it to work right, yes, but you can, again, best CCU ever, store it. Make sure you have a Caterpillar CCU from something that's currently available.
Caterpillar's already in game, so what Hayes has kind of said there earlier is it's not going to increase in price. That's why he recommends
You'll have opportunities to buy that several times during the year, not to mention during the NDS sales.
You're lying around. Trust me. Have that Cutlass CCU, have that CCU. That's $40, but now you're going to probably save quite a bit in between.
Or if you want something that's more readily available, something like the Prospector, because once that goes in 3.0, I reckon they'll be available almost every day of the week.
Well, usually when they're flyable, they are. Usually when they become flyable in game, they become.
They haven't
Saber,
done that with
Super
Hornet.
They do that with the Caterpillar.
They haven't done it.
Question.
They should have done, but they haven't.
They're not available.
Red Dragon asks, what is the difference between the Warhawk and just the Hawk? I'll give that to Snake.
The Warhawk and the Hawk, if I remember correctly, the Hawk isn't the Warhawk like added weaponry?
There's no
two scattergun mounts added.
Is that what it is?
No, it's called the
So
Dire
is that like? So is it a modified version of the Hawk that they?
It's two extra gun points that have scatterguns on them. It's actually got extra hard points.
Wow, so scattergun's like size 3? Or...
I don't know I can't remember the size.
I think they're size 3 actually because the Comet has them.
Yeah, I was gonna say scatterguns are size 3.
I think you'll find that they're smaller because most of the guns on the Hawks were size 1s. They're probably just
they were. Yeah, it was like 4 size 1s and like 1 size 2 or something like that.
The takeaway is it has 2 extra hard points over the standard Hawk. That's the takeaway.
Would that be like the Auroras where you had they all seem to be able to take the gun, but the MR only came with 2, whereas the LN came with 4 plus the missile pod.
That's exactly
kind of that type of upgrade path, or is it a totally different hull with extra hard points?
Well, you're kind of looking at it as in a more combat variant versus the standard variant. It's almost like going
standard boundary.
I think it's at least be a size 2. It's gonna have to at least be a size 2 weapon to make it worth it, because essentially if they add 2 size extra 1s, that's literally like adding 1 size 2. That's not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
But 2 size 2 or size
but
3s.
If you gave it the same firepower as a P-72, then that's not too shabby.
It's the best variant of
for a starter ship, for a beginner, for a hunter.
No, the Stealth Hawk
compare
is
it
the
to a snub.
Okay, well, that's another discussion for another time, because he actually asked about he said the Warhawk, but it's the Direhawk is what it's called. So, Next question, Hayes.
That's the end of the questions. I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap it up here because unfortunately I have to go to work again. But you will be expecting some more episodes from us. There will be a consolidated CCU guide. And I just remembered that we still haven't had the Q&A for the Hammerhead and the Hawk, as well as the land claims. Oh god. But you expect episodes from us about that. If they release it all at the same time, it will be another consolidated episode with all of them. So be looking forward to us covering that. I don't remember we have a Discord. Can someone paste me that link that I keep forgetting?
I'll do it.
And
it's also on our channel, so you can just go to the channel and there's a little
if you want
dot next to it.
One-on-one CCU help, we're more than ready to answer questions and try and help you out. At the same time, if you have suggestions for future episodes, that is the place to look at it.
Yeah. I know, Hayes, you're going off to work now, but a few of us will be on Discord after the show. If you want a question asked directly by Hayes, we'll pass it on, or we'll be there to answer questions that if anyone has after.
With animated discussion, no doubt.
No doubt.
So, this was if you want to follow us, the best place to do it is on YouTube. To like and subscribe. We do read all the comments. And I guess that's it. Wraps it up for the show. This was Hayes, and upstairs we have...
Bye. Take care, guys. Snake.
Yeah, he's Snake. And Dyson? Algrid?
Bye.
Adios.
And, of course,
Bye-bye.
Execute. We'll catch you around another time. Thank you.
Later. Take care.
Oh my god.